All right, so this all right for the last question for the show, man. Thank y'all for your patience. Last question tonight. Is Charlie Kirk a martyr for the gospel?
Yes.
Will,
Are we just answering yes or no
right
right
now.
now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Welcome.
No.
Hot heat!
You're tuning in to the Vulcan Soapbox.
All right, let's get my
Let me just say, because I put that question here. I just want to say why I put the question here, then we can get to it. So a friend of mine had tagged me on Facebook about something, and he had put a message on Facebook saying, if your church is not discussing Charlie Kirk, you need to find a new church. And then him and his wife messaged me, inboxed me. We text a little bit, whatever the case may be. And so I thought this would be a good question because I know that's something that's happening out there in the real world and people need answers for. So, whoever wants to go first, I just want to give the audience a context of why that question is there specifically.
Here's the reason why I say yes. Because there's a vast majority of young people that have been heavily influenced by him between ages 16 to 25. And in a few years, when we're dead and gone, or our influence doesn't matter, they are going to say what they feel and what brought them to the gospel. You know what I'm saying? So to them, to a demographic of people that looked up to him and they look up to him the same way a lot of fatherless men looked up to Kevin Samuels, because like red pill content that makes sense to a lot of men until Kevin Samuels was popular. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so when he was taken away, the same way Charlie Kirk was taken away, the energy was still there, and certain men that got the principles of both men's teaching, they rolled with it however they roll with it. Now, their interpretation of what's gospel and what's not comes down from, theologians to people that will argue about context of the Bible and, whatever, but some people are going to still talk about, like, I sure will not. He's talking about.
Let me make sure I understand you saying, Victor, you saying that because he had a huge follow from 16 to 25, that is
I'm saying that those people that follow him will see him as such.
Okay, all right.
I'm just talking about perspective.
Okay, we got you. All right. Let me bring Will in here then, because I got you now as far as the perception too.
There's plenty of martyrs in the Bible already, so those are the ones they taught off of.
All right, let's bring Will in here. You say yes.
Yeah. I think, probably martyrdom from kind of the standpoint how we use it now. Like I think a lot of people can reach that status, but yeah, I don't know the qualifications before you reach that or exactly the definition of who and how long and how remembered they will be, but definitely somebody that is a marking in the minds of this time and this generation, and like you said, probably will be for a time to come.
Well, you said because the gospel is a specific thing. That's
right.
Biblical doctrine. That's Christianity.
Right.
Yeah. So but I'm hearing people saying that's part how they looked at it, but it's not.
Well, I think that's why I said earlier, for me, it's a lot that goes into what I think about what he said, what he didn't say, what he was aligned with, and what he stood for at the core. See, when I think
the core is the gospel, are you saying that?
Right. And for me, when I think Christianity and race, it goes back further than just 400 years in America, man.
I think that might be that's going to be another topic.
Right. But when people talk about race and things that's transpired,
but I want to get Vulcan in there just to stick to Charlie Kirk being a martyr for the gospel. I want to stick to that. Vulcan, go ahead. You said no.
So yeah, I'm saying no. Well, first, let me address what's been said. What Victor said, he was speaking from a perspective standpoint. I do think he's right about that. I think that's kind of what my friend was tagging me in that post, saying that if your church doesn't address Charlie Kirk, then you need to find another church. Because for most people, I think he's right. He did stand for the gospel. He was He was stood up for the church, and that's the ontological base for all of his beliefs, all his political views and stance that he took. My issue with why I don't consider him a martyr for the gospel specifically is because in the Bible, people that were martyred doing the spreading of the gospel, or they were protecting the vulnerable. It was very specific. In the Roman Empire, it was illegal to be Christian, so they were being killed primarily because as a Roman, you were required to submit to the Caesars as God, and it's to worship the Caesar in a way that Christians would not do. Same thing with Jews before Christians; they refused to bow to other gods, and sometimes that they would be deleted for that. Same thing goes for Christians, or they'd be protecting the vulnerable, and they would be deleted for that because of the gospel. But when you get involved in transgender conversations, gay, lesbian conversations, political stances, calling people dumb on platforms and stuff like that, you have left the proverbial gospel plantation. I'm not saying he's wrong for doing that. You know, we need people to be in the political arenas and all that different kind of stuff and doing those kind of things. I would never say he's right to call somebody dumb. You were never going to hear me just call somebody dumb, because that's corrupt speech. We shouldn't be doing that. Now maybe foolish might be more accurate if you're related to something that they're actually saying. But my point is saying that he was killed, and the guy he was the leader. We understand why. I just watched on the news recently. The guy who did it, he was writing to his roommate about why he did it. It was because he felt like he was full of hate based off the political stances that he was taking. He didn't say, I've been at jobs where somebody told me, I don't like you because you're Christian. If he would have took my life, that'd have been because of the gospel. You know what I'm saying? Because what I was sharing with them. Now, if I told him, hey, look, this is how you should run your company, and, you're not running it the right way, and it should be theocratic as opposed to democratic or whatever it is, somebody takes me out for that. That's not the gospel. That's something else. And it's not something that's bad either. It's not bad. It's just something that's different than the gospel. And so I just want to make that distinction, because I love what Victor said, and it helped me to see it in an even more clearer way. You got to be careful what you greenlight. If you start saying people can talk about anything, but as long as their base is the gospel, then everybody's dying for the gospel, as long as they said that they were, believing in the gospel when they were doing what they were doing. A lot of musicians say they make the music they make. Diddy, as an example, God bless for God, he does it on every award show. Does that mean that if he passed away doing his musical thing, that he died for the gospel? No, it doesn't. And so I just want to make that distinction, because I don't want to greenlight everybody attributing everything that somebody does that gets them eliminated to, well, they did say they believe this and they've always talked about God or whatever it is. So that's my stance on that.
All right, I'm sorry. Let Victor go ahead with the rebuttals, and we can close this out.
I believe he was a martyr for free speech. Let's just at a minimum, he died representing the Constitution. You know what I'm saying? I think that, but if you also go study him, he talked about how he believed that the United States was a Christian nation. And I'm just speaking objectively. Okay. So by default, with him understanding what his space was and what he understood and how to explain it, even to other theologians, even to other well-established, like high-end critics and on numerous debates. I think his conviction is what makes him a martyr. I think anybody can say that he was a martyr. Very few of us have died for anything. And most people won't even live right for their own kids. I think that men are supposed to push the line. I don't think men are supposed to be moderates. I don't think we're supposed to be quiet. I think men are meant to teach and correct and stand on business, and whoever it offends, that's their problem. Nobody owes us anything. And I don't give a damn if you think somebody's a racist or not. People don't never want to stop and talk about what made Hitler flip, and I'm not justifying that, but we are not doing the critical thinking and putting stuff in a box where it needs to go, because plenty of times that we done said something that we can't be redeemed from, and nobody knows who we are in a character sense. But what didn't have to happen was that man that was a father and a husband have his life taken from him, because he didn't do that to anybody. I don't know if he inspired somebody else to do that to someone else and be able to say Charlie Kirk was responsible for this. I haven't seen that. So just like a lot of people haven't seen anything that can push him over the edge of being convicted and like saying that he's a racist or just even making it a middle ground. I think you have to take it both ways. And that's the problem. Everybody wants everything that makes them feel good.
My approach is, even though I appreciate Victor's approach to things, my approach is I'm thinking about the words we're saying, how we're communicating. And obviously all of us care about that, but I just care about it. And I want to focus on it more because when we speak loosely in conversation with our spouse, with our kids, people, sometimes, they take from it something different than what we intended. I remember this, one of my favorite pastors used to always say, whatever the parents do in moderation, the kids will do in excess. Whatever the parents do in moderation, the kids are going to do in excess. And so a lot of times we speak things loosely, or we go, oh, he's a racist because he said that. If somebody were to take that, like he said, if your kid were to say that, but take race out and put another ism in there, another ist in there, we tell our kids, hey, like, you can't say that person's mean because they did that to you. They did that because that was their toy. Whatever's going on, you can't, when you lose the game, get mad and take your ball to go home. You see what I'm saying? Well, I'm black and those kids are white. You're gonna be like, well, it doesn't matter if they're black and white. This is the principles we live by. And my point is, when we look at it in the social arena, the political arena, we start to bend the rules and change the rules so that our team, whatever we think our team is, can win and be on top. And we don't lose. We lose the integrity of our conversation and our credibility. And to me, I want to put that above everything else. If what I'm saying, if my team loses, but my team lost and the right team won because they were just better, that's what it is. And so for me in the conversation, we're breaking down what Charlie Kirk is saying. If he didn't say it in a racist way, he didn't say it in a racist way. That doesn't mean he's not a racist. You'll never hear me on this thing. I'm not saying he's not a racist or he is. I'm saying what he said wasn't racist, or there's explanations that are just as good or better as to what he is than the racist one based off what he said. The video we just watched again, he said, getting in. If right now, me, Victor, Enos, and Will start at school and we set up a criteria and we let a small group of people get in without meeting that criteria, whether it's legacy, our kids get in for free, kids are going to call our kids, you got in here for this reason. That's the real world. Nepotism could be considered a form of nepotism. Now, we put it in our rule book, that's going to be a little bit more tougher debate. But on the ground level with the kids, they're still going to say, we know why you got in. You see what I'm saying? My point is saying we got to be honest about that. Affirmative action, DEI, whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, some blacks didn't agree with it. Some whites didn't agree with it. Some blacks did agree. Some whites did agree with it. That doesn't make you a racist if you have a difference of opinion. You got to analyze why they're saying they believe it to determine if they're racist. It's got to be based off the reasons they give, not the stance they took. And that's what I think we lose in a lot of this rhetoric and sophistry that we're hearing online. And if you can claim something about somebody without having to prove it or by taking their words out of context, then it can be done to you. And how are you going to feel when it's done to you or somebody you love and care about? This is what the Vulcan Soapbox is about. Pathos, logos, ethos. We got to do things the right way.
They said the same thing about Kevin Samuels.
Yes, sir.
He was racist?
No, that he was wrong or he hated black people. They said he hated black women and he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a fact.
All his ladies black, ain't they? All his baby's moms and his kids' mother and all that. I think they were black. I don't know. I was just guessing.
I think he was married.
This is the thing. This is the thing. This is the thing to Victor's point. Even though he was raised by a black woman, had all these black women, just like a white guy can be like, I got a black wife, I got black kids, all my friends are black. We still will say, yep, you're suspected racist. So if you take Kevin Samuels out and put a white guy in that situation, the white guy can't say that. You know what I'm saying? So my point is saying we got to be consistent to Victor's point, and I agree with Victor's saying about that.
I think if the white guy moved like Charlie Kirk, like he was married to black women, had black kids, but moved like Charlie Kirk, that would seem like he would be in agreement with everything that would be detrimental to his children. That would definitely make him a racist. You know, I think we take the totality of how Charlie moved. I mean,
we're gonna do part two. We're gonna do part two.
Yeah, the totality. Like, why did he say Muslims can't pray with his kids here in America. You know what I'm saying?
No, you need to get the clip before we talk about that again.
Yeah. All right. Let's until next time, y'all.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. I'm here to stand on my soapbox and proclaim that to the world.
On this show.
This is the hottest show on the planet right now.
What's the debate?
Ain't no debate.